Good morning, I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is Thursday, the 6th of March, 2025, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm Panel Member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board members. Sir, please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Elijah Eason, 436-444.
Thank you, Mr. Eason. Mr. Eason, he's currently serving a total effective sentence of 10 years. 10 years executions, 10 years execution suspended after 3 years. This is concurrent, a concurrent sentence followed by 3 years probation for the charges of criminal possession of pistol, revolver, and burglary 3rd degree. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility in Mr. Eason's case of March 3rd, 2024 at 50% eligibility. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for this offender, which has been reviewed and shows that the offender has successfully participated in the security risk group program phases 3, 4, and 5. During his DIS interview, the offender had additionally reported that after receiving his November 28, 2023 self-mutilation DR, he was actively attending the SRG program phase 2 between August 2023 till around April 2024, maintaining that he also completed SRG phase 2. The offender remains on the Department of Correction waiting list for new thoughts, 5 or 7 day job assignment, and voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the very high range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Eason, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I feel like I should be granted parole because I can honestly say, like, doing all this time, like, I feel like I really learned my lesson. Like, this is not, like, the things I was doing when I was home, this is not the life I want to live. Like, I really, like, sat here these 30 months and really reflected, like, the streets really don't love nobody. Like, I'm in here, everybody I was in the streets with, their home, doing what they want to do. Everybody left me for dead. Like, this is really not, like, this is not the life I want at all. Like, I'm straight. Like, I really learned my lesson.
Good. So, Mr. Eason, what's going to happen here today is we will each take turns asking you questions, and when we're done with our questions, can you sit back because you're leaning forward and the camera is like, it's cutting off your, thank you. Each of us will take an opportunity to ask you some questions. When we are done with our questions, we'll deliberate and give you our decision, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the questions. So, we hope that you are truly done with this life of crime, Mr. Eason, because for you, what are you, 22 years old now?
Yes, I just turned 22.
Okay. Well, and you're still young enough to turn all of this around. You do know that, right? You do have other options. Explain to us what was going on. Why did you feel the need to be in possession of firearms?
At the time, like, a lot of my friends was actually carrying guns, and I never really needed a gun. I just kept a gun to really, like, fit in with them. Like, that's like the main reason.
But you knew that you weren't supposed to have a gun. You knew that you were already on probation for having a gun and without a permit. Why would you put your life in jeopardy and continue to try to fit in with your friends and jeopardize your freedom?
I just really wasn't thinking, like, I really wasn't thinking at all.
Yeah. And so why were you hanging outside with your friends? What, were you selling drugs out there when you saw the police come up?
No, I was actually sitting with a couple of my friends. We was actually in the hallway talking. We was talking when the cops actually arrived that night. Mm-hmm. And I had the gun on me. Right.
And you went inside the apartment. Had you gone in there before?
Yeah, it was actually a vacant apartment. When the police hopped out, I had got up and ran into the apartment, trying to get away from them. I had ran from them.
Right, but do you realize that if you weren't doing anything, you'd have no reason to be running?
You're absolutely right.
Like, I just don't understand. You're so young and this is your second weapon possession. And I know Officer Vazquez said what your conviction was. I didn't write it down though. But, you're accumulating a history. I show you had 3 convictions on your rap sheet already. And you were on probation for a burglary, third, and a no pistol permit, and both of those were terminated. So now you have 2 failed community releases, no successes. And then you come into the prison and you're affiliated as a gang member. And I'm glad to see that you denounced that and participated in the program. But you got a ton of tickets. Why did you get an assault ticket in December?
The ticket in December actually happened. Me and my cellmate had gone to a fight in his cell. He had spit on me and tried to attack me with his beard trimmers. And by the time that the COs arrived to the scene, they thought that I was assaulting him, but I was actually honestly just defending myself.
Yeah. It's when you look at things from the outside, Mr. Eason, and I know that prison life isn't easy. And I understand too that, at 22 years old, your brain still isn't fully developed. And so sometimes you act a little impulsively without thinking about the consequences for your actions. But it's really important that you start to think before you act, because if not, you're going to be doing life in prison on installments. They know that you carry weapons now in Waterbury, and they're going to continue to keep an eye on you even when your sentence is completed. They're going to watch you because they anticipate you're coming back to prison. They anticipate you're participating in more criminal activity. Do you know that?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I show that you have 1, 2, 3, 5 tickets.
Yes.
Why all the tickets?
I had a fighting ticket from August. Couple guys had gone to a fight. In the midst of that fight, I got hit and then everything just blown out of proportion. My other ticket
You got
was
a boxing ticket, intox, getting a tattoo. Why did you have to get a tattoo? It just bothers me because you're not unintelligent. You have your high school diploma, right?
correct.
Why aren't you in college? You could be graduated from college right now. Do you want to be inmate number 436-444 for the rest of your life?
No,
Is
I
that
do
how
not.
you want to be identified, by a number?
No, I do not.
I just don't understand, Mr. Eason. It's just so disheartening to see someone as young as you are throwing your life away, trying to fit into a lifestyle that ultimately you'll have 2 outcomes. 1, you'll be in prison for the rest of your life, or 2, you'll be dead. Those are the outcomes. Because guns don't, when you get into arguments and fights with people out in the community, people don't just show their guns. They use them. Am I lying?
You're right.
I mean, I'm not trying to lecture you. I really am trying to help you see how the system is set up and how you're going to keep running around like a hamster on a wheel. It's set up for you to fail. But you can't, there are also resources that can help you turn your life around if you truly want that. Why were you in a gang?
I was in the gang when I was younger. I could say around the time I was 16, 17 is when I was in the gang, but I had been stopped gang banging. I had just got affiliated off of old pictures and posts that I had from when I was home. So I got affiliated on my first bed when I was 18. I got affiliated then when I first came to jail. Being that I never completed the program,
Yes, that's what they do.
when I
They
came
make
to
you
jail,
finish it.
they put me back in it.
Yeah, they do make you do that. And what do you have to get a tattoo of? What was your tattoo?
I got my girlfriend name tatted.
Is she still your girlfriend?
Yes.
You just couldn't wait to get that out when you were out in the community?
I could have.
Well, yeah, the good thing is, Mr. Eason, that you still have the love and support of your grandpa. He's still waiting for you and still thinks that, you're his good, son that he raised. Even I know I read your story about your upbringing. You still have that support. You still have your girlfriend. So that's a positive. It looks like you have some potential employment aligned, which is awesome because we don't need you hanging out in the streets. What about your education? What do you aspire to be when you grow up?
As far as education, when I go home, I was planning on trying to get after I got my license, I was planning on trying to go to CDL school, try to get my CDL.
Why does everyone want to CDL? What else? If you didn't, I have never once heard a 10-year-old or a 11-year-old say, when I grow up, I want to drive trucks. What is that all about?
But the reason I'm saying that is because I got a good opportunity with it. My mom's ex-boyfriend, well, my older sister's father came home from prison. He just did about 20. He came home, he actually started his own business as far as the CDL, and he wanted to bring me along with that.
Okay, well, that's good. But what happens if that doesn't pan out?
I was
like
also
if you had your own look in a perfect world, what would you want to be? What would you want your occupation to be?
I wanted to get into like the human healthcare field, with like, working with older people, the mental health, things like that.
We need that. We need people like you in that field. I'm going to be old one day and I'm going to need someone to take care of me.
Right.
I mean, like, you should focus on stuff like that, giving back, stuff that you feel is substantive work, not adding to the havoc in your communities and putting everyone else in danger because you want to fit in with your friends. It just disappoints me, Mr. Eason, and I'm not trying to beat you up, and I hope that you're not taking it that way. I'm really trying to help you see that you have other options. You have other choices. You're not dumb. You have to expect more and want more for yourself. And do that. It's all about your choices. So I don't have any more questions for you. I'm going to see if my colleagues do. Ms. Chance.
So, Mr. Easton, you want to go back home to your grandfather. Did you and your grandfather ever have any kind of issue before?
No, I lived with my grandfather since I was 3.
Yeah, but I read that at one point you had a disagreement with him about a particular issue. Do you remember that?
Me and my grandfather, we've been together forever, so there's been times we had arguments. I'm not pretty sure what issue you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the issue was, about medication, and I don't want to go into any further details, but I'm sure that should trigger your memory. You also said during the interview with the parole officer that you wanted to be in the home healthcare field because your sister and your current girlfriend works in that field. So today you're saying you want to be a truck driver.
I'm saying if I was to go back to school for anything, or that'd be what I go to school for. But as far as
what is it? CDL or home health care?
Right now it's home health care, but I would like to eventually go on that path and try to get into the CDL.
So how long did it take you to complete the SRG programs?
Well,
talking about the last 3.
Excuse me?
The last 3, 4, and 5.
I completed it straight from phase 2 to 5, so that took me about 25 months.
Is that the usual time for that, or
no? The
it
usual
just
time.
took you long?
It took me longer. The usual time is it's about a year, between like 9 months to a year.
Why do you think it took you so long?
because of tickets.
Okay. So whenever you got tickets, what happened?
All right, so the way the program is set up, you catch a ticket, you have to they could restart your current phase or they could drop you a phase. You have to do 90 days ticket free before you can start the phase that you're on. After you do that 90 days ticket free, you have to do another 60 days to complete that phase.
And you just didn't learn anything from the first, say, 2 tickets? You still kept getting tickets knowing that the SRG program was important for you to finish?
Right.
So your who else do you have besides your grandfather and your girlfriend as support?
Really, that's it. They've been my biggest supporter.
Okay, well, you know, my colleague asked basically all the question. I just had those follow up because from what I read about, yes, you did live with your grandfather, but I do know that at times there were some times when there were issues going on between both of you.
The majority of the time, I could say that was just me being hard-headed. My grandfather, he only want the best for me, and sometimes, like, I just hard-headed.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
And you think you're past that? Because, and I'll tell you why I'm asking, because I'm looking at the fact that you were still hard-headed when you were in the SRG program and you knew the importance of you completing them, yet you got 5 tickets that made it took you longer. So do you think you were still being hard-headed?
At the time of those tickets, yes, like I said, I was still being hard-headed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing with me.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. Ms. Palmieri?
I have no follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Eason, we are going to enter into deliberation. You can listen to us, sir, but please do not interrupt, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Palmieri, you want to start?
Sure. So Mr. Eason, he, like, as already we've kind of said it over a few times now, he's 22 years old. We know just by his behaviors and his time on probation, his new charges, he's acting impulsively, his brain's not fully developed. I think we can all agree that disciplinary reports are very disappointing because we like to see good conduct, which can be indicative of how he'll do in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that he has done the 3 phases of the SRG program. We know those are very intensive programs. They provide a lot of services. And I'm going to take a leap and say that Mr. Eason has had some cognitive programming to talk so he can figure out how to process information and make better decisions as he goes forward. I do hear offender change. I do hear somebody that's remorseful for what he's done, appreciative of the support that he has in the community. He does have a plan to come out, go back to live with his grandfather, who said he can come back to the house.
Mm-hmm.
He had been working before he was incarcerated, which I think is also a good sign. And he does have the opportunity for some employment when he comes out. I would like to give Mr. Eason an opportunity in the community. It's a short time on parole before he starts his 3 months of probation, but I do think it would give him an opportunity to seek out some resources in the community to help him with CDL school, if that's what he's interested in, get settled back home and, hopefully start making some better decisions.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Palmieri. Ms. Chance?
So while I can acknowledge that Mr. Easton is young and his brains is not fully developed, I see a similar behavior pattern as he displayed in the community taking place during the SRG program when those programs were important for him to go forward. So while there are some changes noted, I do still see some impulsiveness. And as I said, he did learn how to process some information. So I do hear some change. But for me, I would just like to see Mr. Easton finish out his time and possibly finish out the New Thoughts program that's listed on his OAP. So I have it denied.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. So I appreciate the information that both of you have shared. And I do agree that I do hear some change. I do understand that he's remorseful as well. These are the things that concern me when we see people such as Mr. Eason. One, he rates out very high. Two, this is his second weapon conviction. And I mean, with all this violence and stuff that is going on out in the community, it really just concerns me for, in terms of public safety. The tickets are concerning. That's not my primary issue, because I understand once you're affiliated with a gang, life in prison is really not easy. And that does not mean that it's okay to get there. You know what I mean? It's not an excuse. I do understand. But the things that are the most prevalent to me in my decision right now is the fact that he rates out high and he had a history of weapons. So for those two reasons, I can't support discretionary parole today. And I really do wish that I could, because he's very likable, very intelligent, I just want him to do better for himself and want better for himself. So I am a no today. And I would say, his offense being committed on probation is one of the reasons. But his criminal history is more of what.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I just see Mr. Eason is a young individual with good support.
Yeah, he does.
We don't know much about his girlfriend, but certainly his grandfather has been an integral part of his life.
Yes. And he's
3 years old.
Yeah.
I do think that he was working. There were some positive things happening when he was in the community. I think Mr. Eason needs to align himself with some reentry services in the community that provide supportive meetings. I think about programs like Hang Time, where there's mentorships available and a positive environment to spend your time and to get that kind of support. Yeah. So I do understand he rates very high. I think that has a lot to do with his age. But I do see some positive qualities.
I do too, but 2 gun charges, it's serious.
I agree that they present us with a really difficult choice.
Right. But it's the similar behavior being hard-headed. I know he's had some run-ins with his grandfather because he wouldn't listen to him. And here I see he had an opportunity to show that he could do those SRG programs and not get any VRs, and coupled with rated high, as you're saying, because of his age.
I mean, the tickets really weren't apart for my reason for denial, but I really do think that they're significant. I mean, it's not my reason, but his being on probation and his criminal history are my issues.
Right. So that was one for me, but the continued behavior from the community to the incarceration is one of my reasons.
I know that we're going to deliberate. Mr. Eason, who's this Gregory Burdette that's so much older than you?
You didn't know him. He was just in that house, I think,
Yeah. You didn't know him?
No.
Okay.
I think that he was probably in there doing drugs.
Yep.
He just came in there.
So much older.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I asked him if he was selling drugs, because I know that the guy, Gregory, was found in possession of narcotics. So I thought maybe it was a act, but I don't. Okay, so with regard to Elijah Eason, 436-444, I move to deny discretionary parole based on his offense being committed while he was on probation and his criminal history. He will not have a new hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so Mr. Easton, you heard us deliberating. You understand what our issues were with you. And I really wish that things could have been different for you here today, but you do have another opportunity to go out there and change your life. So I wish you the best of luck, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes its parole hearing for Mr. Elijah Eason, inmate number 436-444. We're off the record.
Are you guys ready for Semidey?
Yes, please.
Help the environment.
Can you hear me, sir? Mr. Semidey?
Yeah, good morning.
Perfect. Good morning. Good morning, I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, you certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm panel member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board members. Sir, please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Samuel Semidey, 287657.
Thank you, Mr. Semidey. And as I indicated, this hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mr. Samuel Semidey, inmate number 287657. He's serving a total effective sentence of 5 years concurrent with the charges of robbery, first-degree firearm threat, 2 counts of illegal possession of weapon and motor vehicle, and possession with intent to sell, dispense narcotics. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility for Mr. Semidey February 24th, 2025 at 85% eligibility. There's no victim input in this case. The offender was previously reviewed for discretionary parole suitability and denied on September 5th, 2024. The reasons for the board's denial of parole included inadequate institutional program participation and evidence of offender change, as well as poor institutional adjustment. The board at that time had voted on a new parole hearing for March 2025, and with the recommendation that the offender participate in OAP recommended programs and any other positive programs offered at assigned facility, and also that he remain free of any further disciplinary reports, DRs. There is an offender accountability plan to this offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has, since the previous review for parole, successfully participated in addiction services tier 2. He continues to actively engage in the medicated assisted treatment program. He has been working as a dorm janitor at the Corrigan Correctional Center, and he has unsuccessfully remained free of any further DR occurrences. The offender remains on the Department of Correction waiting list for 7-day job assignment. Vocational need to be assessed by USD 1 and voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the very high range for risk for recidivism. All right, Mr. Semidey, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yeah, good morning. I believe I'm ready because, I've been going through a lot and all my years and, I'm exhausted and finally tired of, living on the wrong side of society. I created a 5-year plan that I'm trying to execute successfully. And I took all your advices and followed it, to the best of my ability. And although it was not easy, it was not impossible, like I stated, and I believe that if given the chance, this time I will do what I have to do. I want to reconnect my family. I connected with them since I've been here, and to a point where, it's not the same no more. I'm already 44 years old. I'm not the young person that came in. And, I believe I'm ready because I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah. So, Mr. Semidey, you really should be tired because you really have been doing this for a number of years. So I'm happy to hear that you're tired and that you're motivated to live a different lifestyle. And I also appreciate your taking our advice to heart and doing what you needed to do to improve your chances of being released early and hopefully put some more extra tools in your toolbox for your recovery and for your release back out into the community. So you've been before us before, you know exactly how this works, and we're going to start with our question process, if that's okay with you.
Sure, no problem.
Ms. Palmieri is going to start with the questions, okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Smedley, I was on your prior panel. So I kept my notes from that hearing, so I would be able to refer back should I be on this second hearing. And I also am very pleased when I look at what you've done since that hearing. First and foremost, you managed to not have any disciplinary problems, which is a big change from where you were the last time you were before the board. So how did you manage to do that?
Well, I was devastated last time I came here, and it was like a cruel awakening. And I just want to show from here that I'm capable of doing something other than what I've been doing before. I took it to heart, and I felt ashamed of, it's like when I went to the principal's office and she told me off, it was just like that all over again, and I fear that, I'm gonna let down people that don't even know me, and I didn't want to do that no more. I want to show my family also that I'm capable of, doing the right thing from here.
All right. Well, you certainly have. You took the advice that was given to you by the chair the last time to heart. I feel, you're a little older, maybe thinking a little bit more clearly. You're still doing the MAP program?
Yes, ma'am.
You feel that's working for you?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. You can be very successful. You should see it as a tool of your recovery.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So since the last hearing, you also did the Tier 2 program, which is what the panel wanted you to do. Now, I want you finished the program just recently. So I want you to tell me and my panel members what you've developed for a relapse prevention plan for when you're in the community.
Well, I want to reconnect with the Apex Foundation, which it helps me with my viral problems. I'm sick, And it helps me also with mental health, which I didn't think it was that important. But, you know, since this program has shown me that if I don't have a right state of mind, I can't function, you know, in the community nor here. That's why I was doing what I was doing before. But now that I got a little clear mind now, and I just want to reconnect with Apex, go to meetings, you know, do my medication like I'm supposed to, and things like that, of that nature.
Okay, I did read some of that in the report with the parole officer. So it sounds as though you're familiar with Apex.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am.
Excellent. And I am really pleased to hear that you're able to make that connection between good mental health and recovery.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
It all goes together. All right. And have you been going to meetings at the facility?
Well, honestly, I haven't, but I haven't because it's a type of thing going between the meetings that I don't want to be a part of. I'm not talking about the meetings of the people that come in. It's more rather the people that's going down there are not going, not all of them are going for recovery, and it's a type of environment that I'm trying to stay out of. I don't know if you can understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think we can read between the lines. Yep.
Yes,
So, but you've been doing some mental health groups, or you were doing some mental health groups also?
yes,
Excellent. Okay. And then we had a favorable report about you working as a janitor.
oh, yes, I am.
So that's a little extra from what the panel even asked you to do. So we're happy to see you took that initiative. Your
Thank you.
release plan is to move to a new location and live with your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then tell me what your plan is for employment.
Well, I want to see if I can get a job, whether it's in a Burger King or an environment I can make money ASAP. And with the next 6 months, get my ID, my license, and then after I'm a little bit working and stuff like that, I want to get my CNA license again because I'm a certified CNA. And I just want to see if I can get that going again and start working in a hospital environment or in a home group, something like that.
Okay. Well, there's such a shortage of CNAs. I hope you're able to follow through with that.
Thank you. I really am looking forward to.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Palmieri. I don't have any questions for Mr. Semidey either. I appreciate your efforts, or it really certainly wasn't for us. It was all for you, because we really do want you to be successful when you are in the community. So, Ms. Chance?
I just had one quick question for you, Mr. Semidey. I really like the fact that you connected with the Apex program at the App Foundation, because I think you recognize that you can get both your mental health and your substance abuse there. What I wanted to ask you is, I understand that when you go back in the community, you want to go on Suboxone instead of methadone. Is
Yeah,
there a particular reason why?
well, it's because of my health. You know, it's less damaging to my health and my bones and stuff like that. I got some things going on, and I just want to switch because of that. That's the only reason why. It's just because of my health.
Very good. And I also read where, you know, you want to go to school to get your CNA, and you already have what, a high school diploma or your GED?
Yes, I accomplished it here, and I became a CNA here too.
Oh, awesome. Yes. Okay, well, that's all I had, but I really wish you success and really hope that you follow through with that program and the plan that you have. So good luck.
Thank you,
ma'am.
Ms. Chance. So, Mr. Semidey, give us a few minutes to talk about your case, okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Ms. Palmieri?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Semidey, we at the first hearing had gone through the charges and what brought him to all of that. He scores very high for recidivate. And with all of that, the panel did hear some opportunity for him to do some more programming and develop a relapse plan to show some change. And I think Mr. Semidey did just that. He managed to stay disciplinary free. Sounds like he was very motivated to do that.
Yep.
He participated in the Tier 2 program through questionings today and through what we've read in the report from the parole officer. He seemed to benefit from that program, developed a realistic and thorough relapse prevention plan that includes mental health services and a continuation of medically assisted treatment. He took it a step further and was able to start working as a janitor in the facility. We got a favorable report on that as well. He does have a solid place to go to his girlfriend's house. He has a good plan in terms of goals for driver's license, getting his CNA, and getting a short-term job in between. So based on all of that, I find him suitable for parole and be willing to grant that today.
Thank you, Ms. Palmieri. I do agree. I would support parole as well. I wasn't very fond of his releasing right to his girlfriend, but I wanted to add a halfway house just in case things don't work out between them. I really hope that they do, because I don't want him to relapse. But just in case the halfway house is needed, I added that as a condition. Ms. Chance?
Yeah, I agree with everything both of you had said. One of the reasons why I was okay with his girlfriend was because he wrote that he had family support. His mother and his sister was there for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he said that, if anything gets out of hand, he will reconnect with his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I agree with adding the halfway house.
Okay. So I have no co-defendants, Calvin Joyner or Jimmy Mangini. I have a victim, JG.
Mm-hmm.
I have mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, and the halfway house.
That's exactly right.
Okay. All right. So I move that Samuel Semidey 287657 be granted discretionary parole on or after today's date, March 6th, 2025. With the following conditions in addition to the standard parole conditions: you are to stay away from your victim, initials JG. You are to have no contact with your co-defendants, Calvin Joyner or Jimmy Mangini, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, and a halfway house placement just in case that is needed. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Semidey, you'll receive all of this in writing, sir. We wish you the best of luck and job well done. Utilize your
Thank you.
parole officer as a resource, sir. They are there to help you. So if you feel yourself deviating from the plan that you've talked about, your 5-year plan you talked about in your opening statement, you really do need to stay in contact and develop a positive rapport with your officer so that they can help you navigate those difficulties. Okay?
Thank you.
Good luck, sir.
All right.
This concludes this parole hearing for Samuel Semidey, inmate number 287657, going off the record.
Thank you.
Thanks, Theo. Have a good one.
Thank you. Oh. So do you want, I know the,
Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a case review concerning Mr. Damian F. Forrest, inmate number 318559. This hearing is being held here at the, case review is being held here at the Connecticut Board of Pardons at Paroles. The following board members present this morning and by stating their names on the record to certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this review.
Good morning, panel member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board members. Again, in Mr. Ford's case, he's serving 3 years, followed by 3 years special parole for a criminal possession of pistol revolver charge. The nature of this case review, it's now taking place expressly for setting his special parole conditions. And at this time, I'll now deliberate on the board members of the panel will now deliberate and set the special parole stipulations, and I'll hand it over to Madam Chair.
Thank you, Officer Vazquez. So for Mr. Forrest, I have no alcohol consumption, no co-defendant Antoine Strickland, halfway house, and mental health evaluation, and treatment is deemed necessary.
I also had anger management.
I did also have a manager.
Did you have the mental health or no?
I did not.
Okay. So do we want to scratch that or?
No, I didn't. It's a 2, right?
He is a 2, but he also, what he expressed concerns about, I guess he can do it out of his own fruition because he did say that he wanted to go for therapy, out in the community. So,
Yeah, but he's going on special parole, so they'll.
all right. So with regard to Damian Forrest 318-559, I move to set the following special parole conditions in addition to the standard parole conditions. He is not to consume any alcoholic beverages. He's to stay away from his co-defendant, Antoine Strickland. He will be released to a halfway house for residential placement and he'll participate in anger management in the community. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, board members. This concludes this case review session for Mr. Damian F. Forrest, inmate number 318559. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Roberto Aponte, inmate number 314927. Board members, please state your names for the record.
Panel member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Aponte's case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125 lowercase a. Mr. Aponte is currently serving a total effective sentence of 14 years execution suspended after 30 months concurrent, followed by 3 years and 6 months probation for a violation of probation. Underlying offenses being sexual assault first degree victim less than 13 years after greater than 2 years, 2 years older, and an accompanying violation of probation. He's also serving a 2-year concurrent sentence for the charge of failing to register minor nonviolent. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Aponte.
Thank you, Officer Vazquez. Ms. Palmieri?
So Mr. Aponte has already been stated, his sentence, underlying sentence is 85%. However, I did find the new conduct to be nonviolent and I had him designated at 50%.
As do I. Yeah, I move that Mr. Robert Aponte 314927 be designated to serve 50% of his sentence prior to being considered for discretionary parole. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, board members. Eligibility designation review for Mr. Roberto Aponte 314927. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Savon Davis in May number 392729. Board members, please state your name for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Davis, his case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125 lowercase a. Mr. Davis is currently serving 10 years execution suspended after 5 years concurrent, followed by 57 months probation for a violation of probation, underlying offense being conspiracy to commit robbery, first degree firearm threat. Mr. Davis is also serving 10 years execution suspended after 5 years concurrent, followed by 7 months probation for another violation of probation, underlying offense being in that case conspiracy felony class A. And Mr. Davis is lastly serving a total effective sentence of 5 years concurrent, and this for 3 counts of possession with intent to sell narcotic substance. Gesundheit. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Officer Vazquez. So Mr. Davis's current convictions are for being in possession of drugs with the intent to sell, as the officer pointed out, and I did not notice any violence in the sales of these narcotics. So I would think that he should be eligible for parole after serving 50% of his sentence. Is there any?
I know.
I had 50%.
Thank you. I move that saving the discretionary parole after serving 50% of the sentence. His number is 392729. So second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, board members. This concludes this eligibility designation review for Mr. Savon Davis, 9729. Good morning. I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Ezequiel Espada-Sanchez in May number 428232. Board members, please state your names for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Joy Chance.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Espada-Sanchez, his case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125 lowercase a. Mr. Espada-Sanchez is currently serving 56 months for violation of probation. Underlying offense is being robbery 3rd degree, along with accompanying underlying violation of probation. The panel will now deliberate and make the final decision regarding Mr. Espada-Sanchez.
Thank you. Ms. Chance?
So I have Mr. Sanchez as serving 50% of his sentence. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
His underlying offense of the second robbery 3rd was also, despite the first one being 85%, I find that Mr. Ezequiel Espada-Sanchez should serve 50%.
Thank you. Yeah, so he was arrested on a number of convictions, and a lot of those charges were nollied.
Right.
And he was lawyering and bothering the customers at the McDonald's. I didn't see any kind of violence, in any conduct that would warrant him serving 85%. So I agree.
I agree as well.
All right, so I move that Mr. Sanchez 428232 be designated 50% prior to being considered for discretionary. There a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, board members. This concludes this eligibility designation review for Mr. Ezequiel Espada-Sanchez 428232.
Thanks.
Good morning, I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Luis R. Figueroa in May number 418687. Board members, please state your names for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance,
Thank you, board members. Mr. Figueroa's case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125 lowercase a. Mr. Figueroa is currently serving 42 months for a violation of probation, underlying offense being a robbery first degree firearm threat. He's also serving a total effective sentence of 6 years execution suspended after 42 months concurrent, followed by 5 years probation, and this for a criminal possession of firearm ammo defense weapon charge. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Ms. Palmieri.
So Mr. Figueroa's new charges are very concerning as it's criminal possession of a firearm. His underlying offense, the robbery one, is also involved possession of a firearm and with the robbery of the jewelry store.
Yes.
I found him to be at 85% based on the gun charges and the underlying violence that imposes.
I agree. It's enough with the weapons already.
I agree.
Okay. I move that Mr. Figueroa 418687 be designated to serve 85% of his sentence prior to parole of discretionary parole consideration. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, board members. This concludes this eligibility designation for Mr. Luis R. Figueroa for 18687. Good morning, I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Oh, good Lord. I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Emory M. Jean-Louis, inmate number 427595. Board members, please state your name for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Joy Chance,
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Jean-Louis, his case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125 lowercase a. Mr. Jean-Louis is currently serving 4 years concurrent for 2 counts violation of probation. Underlying offenses being 2 counts burglary second degree and accompanying 2 counts larceny second degree. Mr. Jean-Louis is also serving a total effective sentence of 5 years execution suspended after 4 years consecutive, followed by 3 years probation for burglary third degree. He's additionally serving 5 years execution suspended after 3 years consecutive, followed by 3 years probation for a larceny second degree, and another 5 years execution suspended after 3 years consecutive, followed by 3 years probation for a larceny second degree. Mr. Jean-Louis is also serving 4 years concurrent for 2 counts burglary third degree and a count of larceny third degree. Mr. Jean-Louis is lastly serving 6 months concurrent for 2 counts larceny fifth, 90 days concurrent for larceny 6, and 364 days concurrent for an interfering with officer resisting charge. Panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Jean-Louis.
I mean, just based alone on this charge, I have so many charges for, on probation doing all of this stuff. One of the convictions that concerned me the most about Mr. Lewis was the one where he got into that lady's car and made her drive somewhere randomly. Like that was really, really concerning to me. But all the charges really do stem from his taking people's checks, depositing stuff into their accounts, and it's just this ridiculous. But nonetheless, aside from that one conviction that we discussed, and even in that, there really was no violence. It was just, I'm sure the victim was mortified, but
all right,
I would think that he should be designated 50% based on the new convictions.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. His charges are theft.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That one was just absolutely crazy.
It really was.
I had everything right except this part at the front belongs up here.
That's okay. All right. Yeah, it really did. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I appreciate the work that Officer Vazquez did, because it was a lot of new charges. I moved that Mr. Lewis, 427595 be designated to serve a 50% of his sentence prior to being considered for discretionary parole. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, board members. This concludes the eligibility designation review for Mr. Emory M. Jean-Louis, inmate number 427595. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025, and this is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Jeffrey W. Mears, in name number 249808. Board members, please identify yourselves to the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Joy Chance.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Mears' case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125, lowercase a. Mr. Mears is currently serving 33 months concurrent for a violation of probation. Underlying offenses being an assault first degree, extreme indifference to life, and an accompanying underlying offense of violation of probation. Mr. Mears is also serving a total effective sentence of 10 years execution suspended up to 3 years concurrent, followed by 3 years probation. And this for a risk of injury to child. And he's lastly serving 6 months concurrent for the charge of disorderly conduct. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Mears.
Ms. Chance.
So, Mr. Mears, the current charges, which are the risk of injury to child and disorderly conduct, and his violation of probation, I did not see where there were any type of violence. So I had him at 50%. I know his original VOP with the underlying assault first was originally 85%, but his current charges, I think, are 50% with the disorderly conduct and the risk of injury to child.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I think at face value, I too was thinking that it was 50%. The underlying VOP is so concerning that, and here's my reason, that both these crimes involve children. Although one, he made these verbal advances towards an 11-year-old. And he also grabbed that lady's butt. But the charges were nullied for the sex assault. So that's where I'm just like, I just don't like that they both involve children, and what would have happened if, it would have actually happened. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ms. Palmieri?
Well, I mean, I agree with all that's been said. The underlying charges are very concerning. The new conduct is concerning. Although I do agree with Ms. Chance that I don't think it rises to an 85% designation.
Okay.
I think it is troublesome, and but because he's doing 50% of his sentence doesn't also mean he's going to be granted discretionary parole.
That's true.
Exactly.
This is true.
Yeah. So,
I'm just like, I just hate that, that they both involve children. That's
Absolutely.
okay. All right.
I actually rewrote this because the first time I did it, I said, oh no, the sky is 85%. But when I actually read the risk of injury to child, and I said the disorderly conduct,
Yeah.
I said somehow,
Okay.
when he does his hearing.
Right. Okay. So I move that Jeffrey Mears 249808 be designated to serve 50% of his sentence prior to being eligible for discretionary parole. There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board members, this concludes this eligibility review, designation review for Mr. Jeffrey W. Mears, 249808. Ready?
Yes, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez, 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Samuel Moore, inmate number 311779. Board members, please identify yourselves for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Moore, his case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125, lowercase a. Mr. Moore is serving currently 8 years for a violation of probation. Underlying offense is being robbery, first degree serious physical injury, and an accompanying underlying attempt to commit murder, 53-54A, and carrying pistol without permit. Mr. Moore is also serving a total effective sentence of 4 years consecutive concurrent, followed by 6 years special parole for the charge of criminal possession of firearm, ammo, defense weapon, and 4 years consecutive concurrent for the charge of possession with intent to sell, dispense no narcotic or hallucinogen. Mr. Moore is also serving 11 months consecutive concurrent for an evading responsibility injury property damage, 11 months consecutive concurrent for interfering with the officer resisting, and another 11 months consecutive concurrent for reckless endangerment first degree. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Ms. Palmieri?
So I have Mr. Moore serving 85% of it in
I
his
do too.
sentence.
I do too.
The conduct is continuations of firearms and violent aggressive behaviors.
I agree. I move that Samuel Moore, 311-79779, be designated to serve 85% of his sentence prior to his discretionary parole consideration. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, board members. This concludes this eligibility designation review for Mr. Samuel Moore, 311-779. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Gregory Mouthrop, inmate number 364781. Board members, please identify yourselves for the record.
Panel Member Barry?
Joy Chance.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Mouthrop, his case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125, lowercase a. Mr. Mouthrop is currently serving the total effective sentence of 731 days concurrent, followed by 6-year special parole for 2 counts violation of probation. Underlying offenses being burglary first degree at night and burglary first degree. Mr. Mouthrop is also serving 5 years concurrent for 3 counts burglary third degree. And he's lastly serving 1 year execution suspended after 9 months consecutive to the charge of conveying unauthorized item into institution. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Mouthrop.
So I have Mr. Mouthrop designated as 50%. You know, he was rummaging, although his underlying offense and incident offense involved burglaries. I think the underlying ones were very, very concerning. And his new convictions consist of his rummaging through people's cars to, you know, for various things to sell to support his habit. So while we don't like that, I don't see the propensity for violence. So I, again, would support a 50% designation.
I have 50%.
I did also.
Okay.
For all those reasons.
Thank you. I move that Mr. Mouthrop 364781 be designated to serve 50% of his sentence prior to his being eligible for discretionary parole. Is there a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Mouthrop, this concludes this eligibility designation review for Gregory Mouthrop, 364781. Good morning, I'm Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Kevin R. Ricks, inmate number 336163. Board members, please identify yourselves for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Joy Chance.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Ricks' case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125, lowercase a. Mr. Ricks is serving currently 18 months concurrent for violation of probation, underlying offense being assault on public safety, EMT, transit, health, at 53-167, lowercase c. Mr. Ricks is also serving a total effective sentence of 8 years execution suspended after 2 years concurrent, followed by 3 years probation for the charge of criminal possession of pistol revolver, 2 years concurrent for the charge of threatening first degree armed display firearm. And Mr. Ricks is additionally serving 18 months concurrent for another violation of probation, underlying offense being in that case a violation of protective order. Mr. Ricks is lastly serving 364 days concurrent for yet another violation of probation, underlying offense being in that case evading responsibility, injury, property damage. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Ricks.
Thank you, Officer Vazquez. Ms. Chance?
So, based on Mr. Rick's current offense of assault on public safety EMT officer, I vote that he should serve 85% of his sentence. You know,
I mean, honestly, I grappled with this one as well because the assault on safety personnel, I just don't like the fact that you're still threatening people and still being in possession of weapons and, you know, his underlying offenses were concerning. What are your thoughts, Ms. Palmieri?
I had him designated at 85%. I looked at the gun charges, the threats, the underlying domestic violence, all, you know, indicators of violence.
Continued behavior.
Yeah.
So I move that Mr. Ricks 336163 be designated to serve 85% of his sentence prior to discretionary parole consideration. Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, board members. This concludes this eligibility designation review for Mr. Kevin D. Ricks, inmate number 336163. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Vazquez. Today is the 6th of March, 2025. This is a parole eligibility designation review being conducted for Mr. Jaquan Wade, inmate number 367696. Board members, please identify yourselves for the record.
Panel Member Barry.
Joy Chance.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Wade's case is being reviewed for eligibility designation today in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 54-125 lowercase a. He is currently serving 13 years for a violation of probation, underlying offense being a conspiracy to commit murder. The panel will now deliberate and make their final decision regarding Mr. Wade's case.
Thank you, Officer Vazquez. So Mr. Wade, there's no undoubtedly, he's serving 13 years for a violation of probation, but the way the paperwork reads is that they gave him 13 years for being in possession of marijuana. Our concern as a panel is that he was also charged with 2 counts of home invasion, 2 counts of burglary in the second degree, burglary first, 4 counts of robbery first, an unlawful restraint, and an assault first, all which were nollied. Our concerns is the behavior. We don't have a police report to give us any information about the charges that were nollied. So I think at this point, we really need to continue the case for more information so that we can properly assess the file prior to making him serve a certain amount of the sentence. Are there any objections to that?
None. No, I agree with you, Madam Chair. This was pretty difficult, and I just didn't want to do the 85 designation, which is, you know, based on all those charges, without the actual police report.
I think
Say.
in essence, in looking at public safety and in fairness to Mr. Wade,
Right.
it would be important for us to at least have information on those charges.
Right, thank you. So I move that Mr. Wade 3676 be continued to another docket for consideration for designation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, board members. This concludes the eligibility designation review for Mr. Jaquan Wade, 367696.
Thank you so
Hi, good morning. Oh, I can hear.
Morning.
Hi, are you guys looking for Bustos?
yes.
Okay, one second.
Okay, thanks. Morning, Mr. Bustos.
Morning, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just hang tight. We'll be with you in a couple minutes, okay?
No problem.
All right.
Thanks.
What's your inmate's last name?
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Mack. Today is Thursday, March 6, 2025, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record certified they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm Panel Member Barry.
Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Joy Chance.
Thank you, board. Sir, please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Good morning. My name is Leonardo Bustos and my number is 353-646.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration for the parole application for Leonardo Bustos, number 353-646. He is serving a sentence of 7 years jail, suspended after 3 years, with 3 years of probation to follow, for stealing firearm, criminal possession of pistol revolver, and 2 counts of illegal operation under motor vehicle under the influence. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of June 22nd, 2024. There is no victim impact in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed voices, tier 1 programs, and is currently working in outside clearance. Utilizing a statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Bustos, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
First and foremost, I would like to thank y'all for coming to see me. I've been here for 2 years, and what I've done is from the start that I began my sentence, I've maintained a job. I started as a trash worker, and then I went on to supplies and chemicals. And then for the last 18 months, I've been working outside for outside clearance. So within that time of me working, I also completed the Voices program, which was a need in the classification. And I also did the Tier 1 program. I basically, stood to myself, never got into no trouble. I have no tickets. Thank God for that. I never, and I just, just been waiting and I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Everything that you're saying is accurate, and we have reviewed your file thoroughly. So we are familiar with all that you've done, and we're happy to see that you've been able to adequately adjust to your incarceration, and you're really trying to take some steps to be a better person. So what's going to happen is each of us will take turns asking you questions. And when we're done with our questions, we will deliberate and then we'll give you our decision, okay? We wish you the best of luck, and Ms. Chance will start with questions.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Bustos.
How you doing today?
You completed Tier 1 and you completed the Voices program.
Yes, ma'am.
You identified alcohol and marijuana and said you last used 3 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
And you completed in treatment at Yale, and you did an inpatient program in Bloomfield. You didn't name the program, but I think I know which one you're talking.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted to ask you, are you required to have the interlock device on your car?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And basically,
can you tell us about that?
Yes, I have to sit there and if God willing I do end up coming home and stuff like that, I have to go into a motor vehicle and ask to get my license back. That comes with actually getting my license back, is to put the interlock system. So as soon as I get a vehicle or anything like that, I definitely have to put that in there. And I don't know how long it's for, but I know for sure that that's something that I have to do. So
Well, I think it has to do with the number of operating under the influence that you have. And then they decide whether it's 1 or 2 years. But, you know, they'll tell you all of that. So you don't have your license because they did suspend it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And, but like I said, I will go into that, get into that, and I will do whatever it takes to get my license back. And because, you know, that's how you get to work, you know, when no transportation is definitely a problem. But I'm gonna try everything I can in my power to get that system put in my car if the day I do get a car. And so, you know, I could get that going and finishing that up.
Okay. So tell me what your takeaway from the Voices program.
Well, it's basically, you know, to inform me of everyone's story that they went through, the catastrophes they done had, and their stories. Some, you know, resulted into death, others resulted into jail time. So, you know, it gives you a better perspective on, you know, and what not to get into, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, it helped pretty much because it helped me figure out everyone else's story and how bad it was. It turned out for their families and stuff. So I wouldn't want that happen to me. So, you know, that was definitely, you know, something that, you know, I took into effect of myself and make a mental note out of it.
So, you know, I was thinking, you know, your charges of operating under the influence was really a high public safety issue because, you know, it could have impacted several people, not just you and your family, but whoever else you had an encounter with on the streets and your community. So Voices really help you to understand the impact of your crime on others and that it's not just yourself.
No,
now,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So tell me about the Tier 1.
Tier 1 program was basically a program to help me on substance abuse and basically taught me coping skills and stuff like that. So, you know, I would not sit there and resolve myself into doing marijuana or, you know, stuff like that. They gave me coping skills to, you know, like basically, how you say it? Basically to overcome the use of substances, you know? So for me, in this case, it was marijuana. So,
Yeah. So it's a sort of an educational training, like to tell you, you know, what the effects of drugs are on yourself and how you can, you know, identify that you're addicted to a particular drugs and, you know, coping methods and how to identify your triggers and urges. So what would you say were your triggers to marijuana?
Probably depression, you know, a little stress here and there. And I didn't take I had a death in my family that I didn't take too lightly. You know, my grandmother had passed away and she was like the person that kept everyone together. So other than that, you know, like I said, I try to get as much out of that program as I could. If you let me, I have a envelope here with the person that did the program for me in Tier 1. I could read what he said.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. It says, to whom it may concern, the purpose of this letter is to confirm that Mr. Bustos is participating in the Tier 1 group. The Tier 1 group is a psychoeducational group designed to address substance use and disorders and maladaptive behaviors. The group consists of 9 sessions given to participant each session. Mr. Bustos started and attended all groups and sessions. He participated in groups and completed all assignments on time. And Mr. Bustos presents with a high level of willingness and desire to maintain his recovery. So
Like that. That tells me that you were very involved in the information that was presented.
yes, ma'am.
So one of the, I'm going to come back to what you said was one of your triggers relating to, depression and death in your family. But before I do that, I want to ask you, one of the things that you said you identify as a high risk, in addition to those two things, were reconnecting with others. Are you thinking about previous people that you hung around with, or are you thinking about reconnecting with new people that you're going to make in your life?
Yeah, well, the person that I am going to locate has relocated, so they took me away from all that old friend stuff and stuff like that. So my intentions now is to rebuild a new network of friends and stuff like that, because they basically moved out of that town to relocate into a new one. So I don't know anyone from that town. So that's basically for me to rebuild and rebuild my network and friends and stuff like that.
Okay, so you're going to live with your mother in Bristol?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the new area that you hadn't been to?
Yeah, I never been there ever. So I mean, like that'll be a whole new experience for me. My only means now is to just sit there and work and try to get back to the career that I was trying to seek through and all, and just stay focused and stay motivated and work. I never been so highly motivated to just get back out there and, get a job and pay taxes like you guys do. So. Okay.
So tell me, you were in the CDL program in 2016. What happened? Why you didn't finish it?
I started girlfriends, friends. I was, you could say I excuse my language, it was stupid and poor decisions probably, but I thought about it a million times and it was I regret it every day. I regret it every day, trust me.
So you once worked at Trader Joe's, but you also have a certificate for forklift, OSHA 8?
Yes, ma'am.
What is OSHA 8?
OSHA 8 is basically to help out with construction and do flagging and stuff like that for.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually hear of 10, but now I understand because I know the people who do the flagging. And you have to have that certificate before you can do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
As far as my resume goes, like I never had an issue with work or try to get work and stuff like that. I got work from every field. I have from hotel work to factory work. Like you said, I was trying to get my CDL. I just never grabbed it, which I regret fully. And from, for me and my eyes, even with all this, I don't feel like it shouldn't be a problem for me to get work,
So what were you doing with stealing firearms? What was that about?
The firearm was in the glove compartment, ma'am, and I could honestly say that I didn't. It says stealing, but I think it might have been because of the fact of me purchasing it from someone that actually did. But it was never my intentions to, I take full responsibility for that because I was in the car.
Right.
I would take full
So
responsibility.
you purchased the gun from someone, the firearm.
Yeah.
But where did that person get it from?
No,
Was
I have
it
no idea.
reported as stolen?
Yes, ma'am. I have no idea. I really
Right.
don't. I just, all I know
Why did
is
you need a gun?
that, I was, like I said, that was a regretful, stupid, poor decision in my end. You know, I can't, there's no excuse for me to even elaborate and to tell you why I even, you know, like I said, I made a dumb and a poor decision, very poor decision, which I look at it every day and it eats me on the inside for even doing something like that, you know?
But
Like
that wasn't your first time, though. You had, I believe, sometime in 2012, you were in possession of a firearm.
Yeah, and that one, I could sit there and say I was young and dumb. I sat there and, you know, I was out in the streets, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, I didn't know the work environment at first at that time. You know, I was literally just running the streets. I was young, I was dumb, you know, I was partying a lot, all this other stuff, and that's the reason why it results into that. This situation now was a very isolated one because I should have knew better, you know what I'm saying? But I still went and, you know, purchased something but my intentions was never to react in a way where I was gonna put people in jeopardy or put people in harm's way. I'm no threat to society. I'm no menace to society.
But Mr. Bustos, you have to think about, you know, what's going on in the world today with guns. Now
Yes,
that
ma'am.
happened 12 years ago, and here you are again being in possession of another firearm. And it's, you know, the world we live in today, being in possession of a gun is very serious.
Yes. I like I said, I take full responsibility for that, ma'am. I just want to let you know that my intentions were never to commit any type of foul play or any type of crime. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was, you know, like I said, I have possessions of firearms, but I never had discharge of firearms. I never had no robberies, no burglaries. I never had any of those. I just happened to, you know, have those, and I got caught for them, and I paid the price, which
But
I'm
you
doing now.
can see the seriousness of being in possession,
I'm well
because
aware.
you may not have fired it, but you could have been with other people who, you know, would maybe want to use it for other purposes.
He could have wanted to use it.
So, you know, you may not have had the opportunity at the time to use it. I don't know that. But
Yeah.
being your second gun possession is extremely, extremely serious and concerning. And I don't know how else to stress that to you. Go ahead.
I like I said, Miss, I apologize. Like I said, there's nothing that could change the past of what I've done. I could only change what's going on in the moving forward. You know, like people fall, but it's how you get up. It's how you act when you pick yourself back up. Like I made mistakes. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Miss, my intentions was always to maintain a job and to react and function as a regular citizen. You know, like I made mistakes. Those are my mistakes. And to learn from them, I sat here every day regretting of what I've done.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, your first mistake occurred when you were 25 years old, and here you are, 37. And, you know, your second mistake occurred, you know, when you were 36, 35, 36. The other thing is that you also, December 2021, you were using an improper license registration. So what happened there?
Of proper license.
Yeah. And they suspended your license indefinitely. So were you driving a car that had improper registration plates on it?
Yes, that I can remember. Yes, but my license wasn't false. I had my
I
valid
didn't
license.
say your license was false. I said they suspended it indefinitely.
It was like I did have a vehicle with no registration, and I do.
Right. So, those are not good behaviors to be displaying, Mr. Bustos, at your age, because the more offenses that you commit going forward, the longer your time will be.
Yes, ma'am.
This time, I do recognize that there are some change. One of the things that I heard, I read that you told the parole officer was that you are going to move out of the old neighborhood, which you want to now go and live with your mother, and
Yes.
that you are ready to focus on your employment.
Yes.
And, based on your participation in programs and the fact that, DOC has given you outside clearance doing
Yes.
landscaping,
So,
means that they have developed some trust in you, and I'm glad for you that that's going on.
Can I just
Sure.
add that parole officer Mack also gave me information on pardoning my record after 5 years. So that's what I'm aiming and shooting for as soon as I get out. I'm definitely aiming for pardoning my record. So I will remain focused and I will work till I could get that done. He just gave me information. Well, he told me about it. I still don't got the proper info, but as soon as I could get a chance, I could get the information. And he basically told me that now it's 5 years to pardon and to pardon your record. So,
Mr. Bustos, that's a long way for you, and I hope that in your thinking and your behavior, challenging your thoughts towards that, it means that you have to continue to obey the law.
yes.
Okay.
And yes, like I said, miss, I'm not perfect. I committed the crimes. I accept that I committed the crimes, but it's moving forward now for me. Like you said, I've relocated. I'm no longer in the same neighborhood that I was in. I'm in a whole different neighborhood. I don't have nothing. I have no ties to anyone. As soon as I get out, I'm my own person. So I'm going out there to think about myself and not no one else.
Yeah.
So
you are, whenever you do go back in the community, you are going to have, if you are going to drive, that interlock device, and you're
Yes.
going to have to think to yourself that is a big responsibility. You're going to have to learn to obey the laws and
Yes,
do
ma'am.
what is required of you. And you can't do any of that until DMV has decided to give you back your license anyway.
yes,
So
ma'am.
what else besides going to your mother that you're going to do? I know you said you're going to focus on employment. Where are you going to look for a job?
I could look for, I could do factory work. Like I said, I'm certified in forklift, so I could do a lot of factory work for the moment until I could get my license and stuff fixed to see if I could somehow get back to my CDL classes. I gotta fix all my credit. Like that's another thing in my focus. I had credit that was pretty good and now it's not probably. So I gotta fix my credit. I gotta fix my license and I have to, I basically gotta get everything that I lost, like from bank accounts to credit. And, like credit is my number one, thing that I gotta get back to, is that. So me getting a job, I don't see it as a problem for me to get a job.
Yeah.
Your
true job is going to ensure that you are never in possession of a firearm.
Well, that's already written in my mind. I will never, I think I've regretted to the fullest. I have two that you brought to all on the table, and I get it. I just can't show you guys enough because I'm here. I'm sitting here, but I just want that opportunity to get back out there and to show that that's scratched out of my mind. That's
okay.
I will no longer.
All right. Well, thank you for answering my questions and sharing with me today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. Ms. Connery?
Ms. Chance asked a lot of great questions. I follow up. Thank you.
I don't either. So Mr. Bustos, give us a few minutes to talk about your case and we will give you our decision. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Do you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Bustos, I had, concerns about this being his second gun charge.
Mm-hmm.
But, in his opening comments, he talked about the last 2 years, his two most recent years of incarceration, how he was just focused on changing himself. He maintained a job assignment shortly after he went in.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 18 months, he's been working outside clearance, which tells me, I don't think it's everyone that gets outside clearance.
Of course not.
So it means that there's some trust that he has displayed. He completed the Voices program, talked about the impact on other people. The Tier 1 helped him to understand problems of substance abuse and how to identify his triggers and urges and developing coping skills. And it just taught him about the negative effects of substance use and other substance disorders. He has not received any disciplinary reports. He was asked to identify triggers going in the community, and one was going back to the same area, which he's not. He's changed and going to a new area. He did express that one of his triggers are depression and death in a family, but he knows that he has to reach out and get support when that comes. His aim is to build a new network of people in the community, and he has an OSHA 8 certification, which I'm sure he can go out and find employment. He's sponsoring to his mother's house. I do hear some change in Mr. Bustos today, regardless of not liking its two previous gun charges. I would be willing to give Mr. Bustos an early opportunity to go out in the community and start working on his new plans.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. Ms. Palmieri?
I agree with all that Ms. Chance has already stated. He is a moderate in terms of risk for recidivate, and he has addressed much of what was identified as his risk and needs through the various programs. And I do think that he has support in the community, certainly opportunity to be employed. I agree wholeheartedly with his chance that we don't like his criminal history. It's concerning. However, I do think that he's presented with offender change and he's a good risk to not believe it.
Thank you, Ms. Palmieri. I honestly would have liked to see him participate in a more robust, I know that's the word that we use here, program to address his substance abuse. I looked back at his prior phase with the Department of Correction, and I saw that he struggled for a number of years. So Tier 1, although I appreciated the letter that he shared with us, and it did show that he was involved in the treatment. I would have liked to see him do a Tier 2 or a Tier 4. But nonetheless, I do support his discretionary parole. And the only condition that I had was no driving because he doesn't have a valid license and he has to get the interlock device. What other conditions are you interested in?
I only had no driving.
Okay. All right, so I move that Leonardo Bustos 353-646 be granted discretionary parole on or after today's date, March 6, 2025, with no driving condition in addition to the standard parole conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so Mr. Bustos, congratulations, sir. You've been granted parole. We do encourage you to develop a rapport with your parole officer so that you do not find yourself back in those khakis and back into prison. So good luck to you, sir.
I would like to thank you all. And like I said, I can't show nothing here, but when I'm out there, it's a whole different story.
Well, I can
And
tell
like
you
I-
one thing, Mr. Bustos, if you come back with another weapons charge, your
Most
sentence
definitely.
is only going to be longer. I promise you that. So good luck.
And Mr.
Thank you.
Busto, I know that P.O. Mack spoke to you about a pardon, which is so much down the road, but we'll be looking to see how you're giving back to the community that
Thank you.
you have been such a menace to.
I appreciate the opportunity.